Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Arizona Coyotes franchise mode here in NHL 22. So in last episode, we had the draft and the re-sign stage, and I think we did pretty good draft-wise again. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we picked up ourselves another low elite prospect, so we still have a very good prospect pool. As you can see, we brought in Devereaux, and he does have some X factors there, and yeah, he looks like he's going to be a very solid playmaker down the road, which is pretty nice, because if we could put this guy next to a really good shooter in the future, then we might have like a future good top line, I guess, to replace like guys like Agostino and Shelley and whatnot once those guys start to retire and whatnot. So anyways, let's get into our free agency, which should be pretty interesting as well. We don't have to really sign anything huge in particular, because I think for the most part our team is kind of set in stone, because we got pretty much like 12 roster players. We got like 7 defensemen, so we really only need to sign maybe a depth forward, because I think this year I am going to be trying to use Eddie Appleby as one of our depth options, because he does have good shooting categories and I think he deserves an opportunity. He's been playing like the last 5 seasons down in Tucson, and yeah, he's been pretty solid down there, so I think he deserves an opportunity to start playing at the NHL level. So hopefully using him as a depth forward is pretty good for us. Hopefully he gets a chance to get into the lineup. Not that I'm saying hopefully somebody gets injured long term, but hopefully Appleby gets a chance to get thrown into the lineup, or we could even use him as a lineup player if he starts performing better than somebody like Vincent Damon, for example, who's been more of a career depth guy for us the last 3 seasons. So yeah, that's basically my gist of that. And defensively, we already got enough depth as well, because you can see these are 6 defensemen. Festerling's probably going to be the depth defenseman, because Hordachuk should be getting signed soon since he's a RFA. Currently, we have, who was it else holding out? We have Spalling holding out as well, so those 2 guys are just going to get paid a little bit. But we will still have a lot of cap space left over if we want to make a big blockbuster trade at the trade deadline in terms of picking up a new defenseman to upgrade our defensive core a bit, because our defensive core is definitely taking a little bit of a hit losing Darlene, but we technically could just run this youth and see how it is, because for example, McGrath is going to be jumping into the NHL club this season, and yeah, he might be pushing guys like, I don't know, Burkov out of the lineup, or he might push guys like Sasaki if we decide to trade one of those guys. But these 3 defensemen up here on the top are all signed for multiple years, so some of them have to probably eventually go if guys like Burkov, McGrath, they start developing. But our defensive core is really young, and I really like our defensive core at the moment. So there's that. And yeah, goalie wise, we still look the same as we always have, which is a little bit weaker than most teams. But I think at the point that we have, like Korea gets some like good in the playoffs, same with Galiev occasionally. So I think we just need to keep signing these guys long term if we can. But anyways, let's get into our free agent signing, which there is only one we're going to make. We're only going to sign one more depth forward, I think, and then that's going to be it, because I'm not going to sign Bykov, or not use Bykov as a depth option this year. I'm going to use Appleby as one of the depth options, and then we are also going to be signing up a younger UFA as one of our other depth options, just to kind of give us 2 depth forwards that could play center. This guy, for example, though, could actually win a lot of faceoffs, because he's got 88 on faceoffs. And I think he'll be the perfect fit for our bottom 6 if he gets the opportunity to jump in. If I could find him. Oh, there he is. Medium top 9, as you can see, 78 overall. He's listed as a 4th liner, and he's only 23. For some reason, the Columbus Blue Jackets did not bring him back, but he is a UFA. He had 4 points in 11 games as, I guess, a depth option, but the prior 3 seasons he played in Cleveland in the AHL, he was pretty good, especially that last one where he had 40 goals. So hoping that this guy could be a good goal scorer. You can see he's got good slap shot power, but his rest of his shooting categories aren't the best, but he does have some good speed to him, good offensive awareness, good face-offs as well, which is a very good thing to have for a depth option. So let's sign him up to a 2-way contract, I guess, because that's what he wants. So we'll sign him up to that. And yeah, he'll be one of our depth options with Eddie Appleby this season. And then yeah, hopefully those guys get a chance to play in the lineup this season. So yeah, it's going to be our only signing. So we're basically losing Austin Matthews to retirement. We're losing, who else is it? Rasmus Dahlin to free agency. But our team, I think, still looks pretty good. Our defensive core is definitely going to take a little bit of a hit, and our offense probably is not going to be as strong. But you can see that we still have a very good forward core, even with the loss of Austin Matthews. Like, Center-wise, we'll probably have Geeky as a top-line center. Penner produced really good, so I think I might use him as a second-line center, then Damo as third-line center or fourth-line center. And then we also have Spalling, who could play one of those spots as both third or fourth-line centers. So I think we have our center core set. But if we want to upgrade our center core at some point at like the trade deadline as well, we'll have the cap space to do so. And yeah, like I said, we could also upgrade our defensive core if we need to as well, because 379s isn't the best, so it'd be better to probably find ourselves like an 82 plus defenseman at the trade deadline if there's somebody out there. But anyways, that is our only signing. Let's advance a few days and see if that guy accepts, and then we'll sim up to next season and sim 41 games and see how this team does with a few changes. So Filipino is definitely going to accept that, which is nice. Trade for Jamie Drysdale. It's intriguing to trade for Jamie Drysdale, but he doesn't fit our system well, and I don't feel like giving up on an elite prospect goalie yet. So I am going to reject that trade, but that's a decent offer because Jamie Drysdale, I believe, would definitely help out our defensive core. It's just the fact that he doesn't fit our system that I wouldn't want to bring him in. Because if you look at him, he is signed for only 1 year. He's 34, but he's not really that offensive defenseman that it says he is. Like, he only puts up like 28 to 30 points a season. He had some seasons above that, but he's still not really the most offensive player out there. And we would probably look for more of an offensive defenseman. It looks like he doesn't fit our current coach, so I don't think it really makes sense for us to trade for him. But that's the type of player I'd be looking for. It's like an 84 or something like that with 1 year left. That potentially fits our defensive core and all that type of thing. Let's just keep on simulating. Reject all these trades because I don't think I'm going to make any of these trades. Girardi with 1 year left. Who is this Girardi dude? Might as well take a look at a few of these offers just to make this episode a bit longer. So an 80 overall, that's listed as a top 4, but he's an exact top 6D. DFD as well, does fit our top pairing. Doesn't really scream anything interesting to me. Like I said, I think we need more of an offensive defenseman if we were going to trade for a defenseman, because our defensive core right now is very defensively minded. So like maybe one offensive defenseman, kind of like a guy like Chikrin that we had in a few years ago, you know, that type of thing. Darlene came in and helped out, so we just need to find that guy that could kind of like run a power play unit, if there is any offers like that. So we'll take a look at any of these defensive offers. I don't want to take anybody on a multi-year deal, though. I want somebody that's on an expiring contract, like Matthew Robertson, which I believe he's not that good, because usually he doesn't pan out that much. Yeah, 81 top 4 is not bad. He is a two-way defenseman, but he probably doesn't put up the most points. Yeah, only like 20 points a season. It's not really what I'm looking for, because if I'm looking for somebody to replace Darlene, they got to be able to put up like 40-something points at least, and then maybe like 60 points high. I don't know. Breland on 2 years left. I don't want to... Breland's good, but 2 years left is where it gets iffy. I want to make sure guys are expiring, because we have a lot of good players on our roster, and I'd like to keep guys like Shelley around as long as possible. So I don't want to really sacrifice losing Shelley because of trading for a guy. Like, I mean, we could just always trade away those type of guys that are on 2-year deals, but still. Okay, it looks like we're just getting thrown a lot of pick offers. Darlene again, or not Darlene again, Breland again. No, thank you. I don't know why I said Darlene. Brandstrom on 1 year left is not bad, but he's not that great anymore, I don't think, at this point. And Mahura on 1 year left, That's for a 4th and a 5th, and that's a lot of salary cap to add. That's like almost $10 million for 2 defensemen, so I'm not going to accept that. Matejchuk on 4 years left. So let me take a look at Matejchuk. Might as well take a look at some of these offers at least. He's not bad offensively. He's actually listed as an OFD as well, but his point totals aren't the best either. So I don't know why some of these guys are listed as OFDs if they only put up like 17 points in a year, you know. Boquist and Brandstrom. Boquist is intriguing, but 11.685 for 3 years. That's where I'm like, nah. And it's like also 16 million between the two of these guys. We should sign our RFAs because their asking prices are probably coming down now. And we're also near the end of the off season, so might as well sign them up to whatever they're asking for. There you go. 1 year at 1.7, and in Spalling, 1 year at 1.6. Both of them will be UFAs at the end of the year, but we should be able to get them back unless they have breakout seasons and start demanding a lot of money. What else are we going to get off for Girardi again? No, thank you. I don't need a DFD. Moran, I don't need a goaltender. I'm good with Korea for now. More picks. Adamski, I don't know who that is. Got to take a look at Adamski. Why does Spalling have anxiety for... Damo doesn't like that we signed Spalling again. Just because of the ice time and stuff like that. Adamski is an offensive defenseman. He's a 79. Does have some good offensive stats, like 96 passing, but he's not really what I'm looking for. At the NHL level, the most he's ever put up is 24 points. Like, he is a good offensive defenseman, but the offensive awareness category is not high enough for me to actually want to trade for him. So I am not going to accept that, but that's an interesting offer. Because maybe that guy could pick up a lot of assists if he had a lot of ice time, but still, only having 20-something points, he's kind of an unproven offensive defenseman, so we want to find a proven one, kind of. Okay, finally, let's get into our lines for the season and get this set up. Do we need to call up anybody? Yes, we need to call up Eddie Appleby at least. Bykov and Voloshenko could be down there in the minors. That's fine. Yeah, and McElhinney is one of our prospects as well. We'll move him up. Damn, we have a lot of good talent still in the AHL. We're going to call up Eddie Appleby, though, for sure. Because I want to use him as a depth option this season. So, Appleby, we're going to call you up. And we're going to send down from the NHL. We are going to send down who? I guess I have too much roster players. Or can I just call up Appleby? I can just call up Appleby. Okay, that's good. Wasn't sure for some reason. Let's take a look at what we got. Let's just go best lines again down here. And then we'll move Bykov probably down here. Actually, we might just leave the top 6 almost the same. Try and get that chemistry, though, to be improved. Which it doesn't seem like it is. But I do like the fact that they have McElhinney and stuff like that up there. McElhinney's kind of outgrowing his potential. Low top 6, that's already up to a 78. That's pretty good. Yeah, there's not good chemistry on the AHL team. I don't know if it's because of the coach, but yikes. Hopefully they still assimilate decently, because there's some good players down there. But let's see, NHL-wise, Appleby and Filppula's depth, which makes sense. And then we also need to play Hordachuk over Festerling, I think. Oh, man, we might have a little bit of a problem with Festerling now. Because he's listed as a top 60. He was listed as depth before. So I might have to make a move with one of their defensemen involved. McGrath is already going to get top 4 time? I don't know. He is listed as a top 4 already, and he's only 22. So maybe we do want to play him there. And then... Ooh, wait a second. Bilesman Zasaki still have that +5. I like that. Yeah, I guess we'll leave it like this. Burkhoff and Hordachuk, and then McGrath and Fairchild. So McGrath is going to get thrown right into the fire and be put on the top 2 pairing with Fairchild, which, I mean, I'm okay with. He looks like he could be a good player. Goalie-wise, it's going to be Galiev and Korea, as per usual. These are depth options. And forward-wise, what do we got to set this up as? Shelley is listed as a third-line scoring forward now, so that's good. They are trying to put Kagarodov on the top line, which is kind of interesting. But we gotta definitely have Agostino up there, because Agostino is the GOAT of the series by a large margin. We'll go with Shishkinov on the second line with Kagarodov and Yoshimura. And then, yeah, Shelley's going to be back on the third line again. This time with Penner and McIntyre. And I guess I'll play Kagarodov as a center, since he could actually win faceoffs, as weird as it is. And then Vincent Damon, Spalling, and Oostorff. The best win on faceoff is Spalling, so that's what our fourth line is going to look like, and I think that actually looks pretty good. Like, for losing Austin Matthews, our forward core actually looks way better than I expected. So yeah, that's what our forward core is going to look like. Power play wise, let's make sure that Shelley's getting some power play time at least, because he should be at least getting some power play time. Let's move Shishkinov over there, move Shelley up here, and then I was going to put who on the power play. There was somebody I wanted to give power play time to. Oh yeah, it was Vincent Dalmo I wanted to give power play time to. Yeah, I'll give Dalmo some power play time, because he's got really good passing stats. Unless there's somebody else that deserves it, which I don't think there is. Let me just check to make sure. No, I think we're going to give Vincent Dalmo some power play time. since he was a depth option last year, he had a lot of points, and you could see he's got 89 passing. So if we put him with like some guys that can shoot the puck, he should be able to pick up some points. But young Yoshimura in his second season is already getting thrown onto the top power play with all those good players. So our power play is looking pretty damn good if I'm not mistaken. And hopefully it simulates well. And penalty kill looks pretty good as well. Yoshimura is getting penalty kill time too, but doesn't really fit the penalty kill, which is weird. Okay, I'm okay with that. Looks pretty good. Now hopefully this team simulates well. But we could always, like I said, if we need to, we'll make some defensive changes and upgrade this defensive core a bit. But I'm just hoping that Festerling doesn't complain about ice time. So if he does, then we might have to trade away him or Hordachuk, for example, to try and upgrade this defensive core at the deadline. But let's do 41 games of the simulation and see how this team does for the 2036-37 season. And hopefully this team could do just as good as last year, and hopefully they could go for another Stanley Cup this year, because yeah, we're listed as a buyer, which makes sense. Contract wise, I want to just quickly take a look at this. Who's expiring at the end of the season? Okay, so we got some pretty big contracts up for renewal. Geeky and Shishkinov, and then everybody else is kind of relatively cheap, I guess. McGrath, Appleby, Damon, Festerling, Filppula again, Hordachuk. A lot of 79 type of guys. And then just Galiev as their backup, so that's not too bad. We're actually managing the cap pretty well, I would say, for this series. So yeah, let's sim up to the start of the regular season, and then we'll start simulating 41 games and see how this team does. I feel like this team should simulate good, but the loss of Austin Matthews and Dolene might hurt us a little bit. But I mean, like I said, if we need to, we'll upgrade our defensive core or center core probably a bit at the trade deadline. So we could always address those problems. That's why I only do like 41 games at a time. Okay, and we are 5-2 in the preseason. Pretty solid. Who led us in points? It's going to be Agostino with 10 points in 7 games. Gotta love Agostino. How long is Agostino still signed for? And then I think Michkov's contract is up next offseason, which is crazy. So we are going to have to give him a huge contract. Yep, he's only got this year and next year left. So next season, we're going to have to give him an extension right away. And then Agostino is still signed for the rest of his career probably. But yeah, Michkov is going to be very expensive. Like, I mean, almost probably $20 million if he continues to simulate the way he's been simulating with us. So let's go to... let's just go to January the 1st, because I'm pretty sure 41 games is around that point. And we'll see how this team does. I'm assuming we're going to simulate good, but you never know. The game could randomly just crap on us. We started the season off with a couple wins, so that's good. But then we lose to the Flyers. Wins 7-2 over the Devils, and McGrath has already been injured, so at least that's going to give Festerling some ice time, but that's not a great way to start off your career for McGrath in the NHL, being injured in your first 5 games. But yeah, as expected, the team is off to a great start, and now Korea has been injured with a strained hamstring, so we're going to have to rely on Galiev, but damn, that sucks. Guillermo deserves a chance to be a good starter for a long time, but unfortunately he goes down with an injury, so we are going to have to call up Donovan. So an early entrance into his NHL career for Jeff Donovan, but he's going to get the play for a couple months. Don't know how he's going to do since he's only at 75, but hopefully this doesn't hurt our team too much, because yeah, we got to wait like till November for Korea to be back. So there you go. There's our goaltending now. Let's see how Jeff Donovan can do. He was off to a really good start down there in the AHL too, with a 9.39 through 6 games. So we'll see what he can do at the NHL level. I don't know how much games he's going to get to play, but maybe he could get some wins here in the NHL while he's up here, as McGrath has returned as well from injury. So Festerling is back out, and in comes McGrath. Yeah, that's good. Perfect. And this team's losing a couple games since the loss of Korea. There's a couple more wins, and now Korea is back. That's good news. So Jeff Donovan's going to get sent back down. Did he get to play any NHL games? He did. He lost both of them, and he got absolutely destroyed. Poor guy. Starts off in the AHL really good this season, and then he gets called up to the NHL. And he's not necessarily ready for that type of action yet, but that's not that great for him. But hopefully Korea could stay healthy now, so then Donovan doesn't have to come up at all. Because I would like Donovan to spend the entire year down there, and then maybe he'll be an NHL goalie by next season. and maybe contending for that backup spot that Galiev has. Korea is back to full health. That's good news because I didn't want him to get re-injured because I've seen that happen too many times. But yeah, this team's off to a really good start, 13-3, because I haven't actually been looking at the record. And now Jeff Donovan's been injured in the AHL. Damn, that's the first time I think I've had 2 goalies get injured in the same season. Swollen knee till December. Let's just go replace player down there in the AHL. Make sure we put him back in as well, because obviously he's probably one of our future number 1 goalies. And okay, 17-4 now. Wow. Yeah, this team's off to a fantastic start. But hopefully we aren't a first round exit after this type of season. And this is also low after losing Austin Matthews. That's kind of crazy, because imagine if we still had Austin Matthews, how good this team would be. Like, that's actually insane. So we'll go to goalies. We'll take out Belmar, and we'll put in Donovan again. That's good. How's the AHL looking? Pretty good. Hopefully they are assimilating decently as well, so we can get some of those guys into the NHL as soon as possible. Appleby hasn't got the play yet, same with Filppula. I was hoping that there would be maybe a couple forward injuries so they could play a little bit. 29-6 though at January the 1st. That's actually kind of insane. That might be my best start to a year yet. So 35 games in, so we got another 6 games left to simulate. So let's simulate those before we take a look at the player stats. So, wait, I said another 6 games? Yeah, 35 games played. So yeah, 6 more games. So we gotta go up to here, and we'll see how the team does. And there's a couple more wins. Yeah, this team is off to an insane start to the season. 33-8 to start the year, 41 games in. And Agostino, oh my god, 62 points in 41 games. He's on pace for 124 points this year. I don't think he's going to do that. He could have a slow second half, but what a start to the year for this team. Absolutely insane. Like, we have 66 points. The next closest team in the NHL is the Sens with 58 points. Like, we're going to win the President's Trophy this year potentially, and then we're going to be a first-round exit. Just watch. That's my guess right now. Let's take a look at the team stats and player stats so far for the season, and then that'll be pretty much it, I think, for this episode at that point. We'll also take a look at the entire league as well, just to see where people are sitting. But yeah, we're in first by a large margin, actually only by 5 points. Didn't realize the Preds only had 61 points as well. So our division's pretty good. Goals for per game wise, we are the second best offensive team, only behind the Nashville Predators. Goals against per game wise, we are the second best defensive team in the NHL. So we are really good offensively, good defensively. Power play's clicking at 31.6%, which is the best in the league. And our penalty kill is also doing pretty well at 84.3%. So everything's going well for this team, which means we're definitely a first round exit at this point. 17-3 on home ice and 16-5 on the road. 7-3 in our last 10 games. Pretty damn good. Wait a second. Did it say that one team already had 12 shorthanded goals halfway through the season? Because that's actually ridiculous if that's the case. I think I just saw that. Yeah, the Detroit Red Wings have 12 shorthanded goals through 40 games. I don't know if they're going to get a lot in the second half, but that's actually insane. Like, look at that. They've doubled, like, the Seattle Kraken even and added a little bit more than that. It's crazy. Don't think I've ever seen that. Let's take a look at these player stats. I'm curious on who's been doing what for this team so far. So, Geeky, 48 points in 41 games. So, he's going to be expected to get paid probably this offseason since his contract is up, which is unfortunate. So, he might want more than 8.6, but he's off to a career start, and he's on pace for like 96 points this year. But yeah, he's going to be probably expensive this offseason. Penner, 26 points in 41 games is pretty solid. And a little bit after, well, he's on pace for the same amount of points as last year. But I don't know. I don't know if I should have given him 5 years at $6 million. Like, I feel like I could have to trade him at some point just to offload that cap hit. But hopefully he gets some more ice time and stuff like that, and then he just starts to produce a little bit better. Damo, 22 points in 41 games isn't too bad. Obviously not as good as when he was a depth option last season with 16 points in 15 games, but I mean, I'll take it. He's got 5 power play points, so he's definitely helping out there a little bit. Spalling, 16 points in 41 games. It's off to a little bit of a sluggish start for him, but still probably on pace for a little bit more than last season, so that's good. And then what else we got here? Left wing wise, Agostino, 62 points in 41 games. Absolutely insane. Plus 34 as well. Yeah, he's on pace for his best season yet. He's just been insane the last few years. Like, he's been the best player in the NHL, probably. Yeah, he's over 1,128 points now. He's 1 goal away from 400 as well. Yeah, this guy is definitely a channel legend for sure. Shishkinov, 36 points in 41 games is pretty damn good. He's been a really solid player as well the last few seasons. And yeah, he's up to almost 430 points in less than 600 games. And then McIntyre, 21 points. Not that bad for a guy that's playing like 4th line or 3rd line. I don't remember which line he's playing on, but maybe on pace to have a season like he did in his 2nd NHL season. But he's been kind of a quiet offensive player for the most part. He does now have low top 9 potential instead of low elite. But yeah, he's relatively a solid bottom 6 option for this team. Right wing wise, Michkov has already got 32 goals and 61 points halfway through the season. So Michkov and Agostino continuing their dominance, and you can see why. I mean, Michkov is going to be expensive next offseason when we have to re-sign him, because holy crap, 61 points in 41 games, on pace for 122 points, and on pace for 64 goals this year, which he did hit with us at one point, but he's been absolutely insane since we brought him in, and I am really glad I brought him in and then signed him to a lucrative contract. Kagerodov, 32 points in 41 games, pretty solid. Only on pace for 32 goals this year, though. So his goal scoring seems to be a little bit down. Yeah, his point totals, I don't know if it's because of other guys, but his point totals are definitely taking a little bit of a hit. Last year he had 51 goals, and now all of a sudden he's only on pace for 32. So that's a bit weird. Why is it like that? Same ice time pretty much as well, so maybe it's because he's playing center, actually. Maybe I gotta change him over to the wing. Yeah, I think I gotta change him over to the wing, and then maybe he'll simulate a little bit better. Yoshimura, also 23 points in 41 games. Off to a little bit of a sluggish start for him as well. Actually, maybe around the same start. On pace for 46 points. But then maybe he'll wake up in the playoffs again like he did last year, so who knows. And then Calvin Shelley's only 21 points this year. Damn. Shelley is really dropping off. Yeah, Shelley's not having the greatest of seasons. Not really worth the 8.5 he's getting paid for the next 2 seasons. He's only on pace for 42 points, and 32 of them are goals. Not picking up a lot of assists this year. I don't know what the problem is, if it's because he's on the 2nd line power play or what, but And then Utsdorf has no goals, but 13 assists through 41 games. This guy does not shoot the puck enough. Defensively, McGrath, wow, leading our defensive core in points. Our defensive core is very defensively minded. 12 points in 37 games for him. 12 points in 41 games for Burkov. 11 for Sasaki and Bilesma. 9 for Fairchild. 7 for Hordachuk. And 1 from Festerling. But you can see what I mean. All these guys are great minus-wise. Burkov not as much, but they're not picking up that much points. 12 points in 41 games. Only on pace for 24 points in the season. So we kind of need to find that offensive defenseman to add to this group, I think, because I feel like we're way too shut down defensively. So, and then goaltending-wise, holy crap, Korea's 27-3 through 31 games. So he's on pace to probably break the wins record in the season, I'm assuming. And then shutout-wise, he only has 1 shutout, a .917 save percentage, and a 2.4 goals against, which is pretty damn good. He does also have 1 assist on a season like Galiev. And then Galiev so far this season is 6-3 with a .908 and a 2.8 goals against. So both goaltenders have been pretty solid. Let's take a quick look at the entire league for points and stuff, just to kind of see where our boys are sitting, and then that'll be pretty much it for this episode, I think. Maybe also take a look at the trading block. I don't know. Okay, so Agostino and Michkov both leading the league in points, both by a large margin. Agostino's got almost 10 more points than the next closest guy, which is Desjardins in San Jose. And yeah, much the same with Michkov. The two of those guys really helping each other out for sure. I might have to pre-record next episode just because I want to see how these guys finish the season. So, but yeah, both of them off to great starts. Michkov is leading the league in goals by 3 goals only. But yeah, he's got quite a large gap between this point pretty much, where everybody else is like 9 goals back of him. So it's just more about keeping Darling, who only has 4 assists with his 29 goals, away from that. Damn. I wonder who's going to end up winning the Art Ross this season, if it's one of our two players in Agostino or Michkov. You guys should comment your predictions below, because I think I will pre-record next episode, but which one do these guys finish on top in points, or do they finish with the exact same amount of points? Because that could happen. Defensively, the best defenseman so far this season is Cam Beats in Boston. Interesting. Yeah, and we definitely don't have any defensemen up there, because none of our defenders are even point per game, but it seems like in the league in general, it's mostly a defensive defenseman league in terms of points, which is interesting. So we might not even need to trade for a defenseman, just because it doesn't seem like there's not a lot of guys that pick up a lot of points. I mean, 38 points in 40 games. This guy's on pace for a really good season, but I don't see Boston moving him, and he's signed for 5 years. Modine just signed an 8-year extension in Toronto. Boyce signed for 2 years. Maybe there's somebody we could pick up on defense. And then, yeah, by far, Korea's leading in wins with 27 wins. Ramsey's behind him, though, at 22 wins. Interesting. Who's the favorite for the Vezina? It looks like Stone, no? Yeah, it looks like Stone's the favorite for the Vezina with that 931 save percentage through 32 games. Yep, it's probably going to be Cyrus Stone that ends up winning it if he continues like that. But there's a good chance that guys like Korea are up there for the Vezina this season, which would make our contract we gave him look really good. And then the best rookie so far is Galiev in New Jersey. Bowie's up there. Crawford. Okay, so that's that. Let's take a quick look at the trading block to end off this episode, because we're already like 30 minutes in. And then, yeah, I think I will probably pre-record next episode, but let me just take a look at what's out there anyways, just to see if there's anything to give us, like maybe an offensive defenseman for the back end, because most of these guys are probably like too defensively minded and won't help us out. But we need to try and find a way to just like maybe boost that offense in the back end. But the rest of the team looks pretty good, I think, and I don't think there's really any need to make any moves, especially with how we've started the season. So if we don't find any offensive defensemen out there, I don't think we're going to make any trades next episode. But I am going to pre-record next episode, I think, for sure. Evan Bouchard was up there in points, but yeah, I don't know. 80 overall. It's not the greatest. It's not really a huge upgrade. Looking for somebody like maybe that's like an 83 and above that's offensively minded. There's some good forwards out there, but I don't need forwards because their offense has been so good. Breland's still signed for 2 years, and he's a DFD anyways, so he's not going to help out with the offensive touch that I was looking for, because I just don't want to be like a super shutdown defensive core. Like, I need to have like one guy kind of be able to run the power play potentially, that type of thing. But I don't know if there's going to be anybody that's out there that actually matches that type of bill. Like, Matejchuk is decent, but signed for 4 years. And I'm probably looking more for an 83, not an 81. Cornquist, goalie-wise. Pinelli, Pearson. Who is this Pearson dude? Julius Pearson. Looks like a pretty solid player. Actually, yeah, he is a pretty solid player so far this season. He's only played with the Islanders and the Rangers. That's actually kind of neat that he's played with both New York teams. That guy's kind of intriguing, but I could upgrade our center core a bit. I don't know. Maybe I upgrade our center core, we'll see. Just because I don't know if, I don't know. Our offense is simulating good, but I feel like we could upgrade our center core, like kind of what we did with Austin Matthews, but the defensive core is probably the main thing to bring in an offensive defenseman. Brandstrom doesn't pick. Actually, Brandstrom's in the AHL though right now. He's picking up a lot of points down there, but NHL wise, a couple years ago he picked up some decent amount of points. I don't know if he's still that good of an NHL offensive defenseman or not. $5 million. Only a 78 though. It's not really what I'm looking for, I don't think. What else we got here? Doesn't really seem to be a whole lot of stuff I actually want to go for. A lot of it's the younger prospects. Girardi's defensive, same with it. Adamski's still that kind of intriguing one. He's 13 points in 34 games, but he's not really a top 2 defenseman. Or top 4. Morin, no thank you. Peltier. Yeah, there's not really anything I'm seeing out there, so I don't know if I'll make any trades next episode. We'll see if we end up making any trades, but I think I will pre-record next episode just to see how this team does. So let me guys think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.